boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen, children of all ages. This is Jesse with the Common Nerd, bringing you pop culture and all things ready through a common sense lens. And man, oh man, I said it early on when the whole Warner Brothers Discovery merger was going on, that Zaslav was a fresh face to come in and try to turn around the disastrous dumpster fire that was Warner Brothers out there. And of course, that includes our wonderful DC, whether it be the comics or the movies and the television shows out there. This was a company that was in a very bad slate. And we'd heard a lot of rumors going around, a lot of grumblings from a lot of the trade magazines going, well, he voted for Trump. He's a conservative, yada, 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 yada. Nobody wants to work for him, rah, 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 rah. Well, nobody's really wanted to work for Warner Brothers in quite a long time. Anyway, the prestige of the studio has been gone by a long list of absolute floundering and miserable failures, essentially, since like the whole Dark Knight series and some of the early days with some of the really good Snyderverse things inside of DC. It really hasn't been a very successful studio in quite a long time, outside where every once in a while you have this odd hit that kind of keeps things going. Well, of course, boys and girls, one of the biggest problems of that was the diversity, inclusion, and equity nonsense. We saw like Birds of Prey. Of course, we got the Batgirl movie that, of course, ended up getting completely and totally canceled and shelved, and a whole laundry list of other projects, including the Ta-Nehisi Coates Black Superman. These were all of the diversity, inclusion, and equity projects, a.k.a. the woke agenda, that was going on inside of Warner Brothers Discovery, the new political correctness of the modern era, right? And this was one of those things that had caused DC to turn into a disastrous dumpster fire. It's the reason why we never got another Superman movie. It's the reason why we never got a Ben Affleck Batman movie. It was the reason why we didn't get a lot of those things out there. And obviously, when Walter Hamada got fired and David Zaslav cleaned house with a lot of the rest of these people, I was very, very happy to see a lot of stuff come out. And after seeing what we've seen with Superman, it seems like a lot of this stuff is actually starting to work out. Well, boys and girls, if you hadn't heard already, it is official after much speculation and a lot of great rumors and inside information from Sil Abdul out there. It is official. Warner Brothers and Discovery have separated. And one of the most fascinating things about that separation is a list of new executives. And you know what's missing from that list? Yes, boys and girls, the woke agenda is being purged from Warner Brothers Discovery. And guess what? They don't want nothing to do with your diversity, inclusion, and equity anymore, because Zaslav knows that stuff doesn't sell to a general audience, to fans in any way, shape, or form. It is nothing more than a giant, massive money pit that has lost this company and the rest of Hollywood hundreds of billions of dollars over the last decade, if not longer. And guess what? The purge continues over there at Warner Brothers and Discovery both, because neither one of them will have executives in charge of diversity, inclusion, and equity. The woke purge is continuing throughout Hollywood, and this latest split with Warner Brothers and Discovery just shows more of that going forward, and it just shows that Warner Brothers and Discovery may very well have a very bright future, because when you ditch the woke, you can actually give us good storytelling again and bring back your audience. So we're going to check out this article from thatparkplace.com, getting all of the juicy details from what this inside source has given us for this new information out there. But before we do, if you do enjoy our content, hit that like button, share with all your friends, and subscribe or follow if you have not already, boys and girls, because we are grinding, we are growing. We just crossed 2,100 subscribers, boys and girls, this very morning at the time of the recording of this video, and we are sailing our way towards 2,200. I think we're sitting at like 2,103, and I could not do that without every single one of you. Also, leave us a comment in the section down below. Let me know what you think about this. Does this make you as happy as I do? That it does as I am, that so much of this diversity, inclusion, and equity nonsense is continuing to getting purged. The woke is getting purged from late night, and now the woke is officially going to be exorcised from the new versions of Warner Brothers and Discovery as well. Or are you one of the many crybabies out there who are going to whine and gnash your teeth going, it's not fair, now Zaslav really is just an instant-ophobe, and all of those other kind of things out there? By all means, let us know in the comment section down below. Of course, all opinions are welcome. Also, if you'd like to support the channel and maybe become a member, please check out the links in the description as well. All right, boys and girls, from Marvin Montanaro, our dear sweet man over there at thatparkplace.com. Warner Brothers and Discovery global officers list shows no diversity or inclusion officers. Is Warner Brothers ditching DEI? Yes. Yes, they are. And honestly, any of us that have been paying attention, if you've been subscribed to this channel, if you were subscribed to our old channel, you would know this is something that has been a long time coming. Zaslav made it very obvious from the people he fired right when he showed up through the door. Remember the guy that didn't even show up to the Black Adam premiere? Yeah, we knew that a lot of this stuff was going away. And we also knew that despite what James Gunn's very nice lip service he's been giving, we will never see a black Superman set during the racial tensions of the 1960s. So yeah, DIE is dead at Warner Brothers Discovery. As Warner Brothers Discovery splits into two companies, that Park Place has received information that seems to show Warner Brothers and Discovery are ditching DEI. In a move that has sparked widespread discussion on entertainment circles, and probably a lot of crying from all the activists out there, Warner Brothers Discovery announced today that the names of its two split entities will be Warner Brothers, which encompasses the company's streaming services like Max and movie studio assets, and Discovery Global, focused on cable networks such as HGTV, Food Network, and TLC, all which things are going down the toilet because more and more people are cutting the cord, right? And more people are moving to streaming, right? What was it? YouTube actually beat out all of the rest of the cable networks combined for most viewership over the summer. So yeah, needless to say, this is a smart financial situation because, hey, maybe they're going to try to get people to buy off Discovery and Zaslav's going to stay with Warner Bros. I don't know all the exact details of how all this stuff is going down, but needless to say, this is not surprising in any way, shape, or form. And that split off probably includes CNN as well. Or did they already spin that off? I can't remember. Let me know if you guys remember in the comments section down below. This restructuring effectively undoes much of what 2022 merger between Warner Media and Discovery Inc., which was created at Warner Brothers Discovery under CEO David Zaslav. The split comes at a time when Warner Brothers Discovery has faced financial pressures, which includes a reported $9.1 billion write-down in its TV networks businesses in Q2 2024. Amid declining cable subscriptions and advertising revenue. The $9.1 billion write-down essentially means they're trying to write that money off as a giant, massive operating loss. So yeah, not exactly in a good place. And this is one of the things that we've been saying for quite a while. Warner Brothers is broke. It's why we didn't, unless Black Adam ended up making $800 or $900 million at the box office, we were never going to get Henry Cavill back. We were never going to get any of the rest of these characters, these actors back from the Snyderverse because they were going to cost too much. They are too well-established actors and would have come at too high of a cost. Warner Brothers was broke, which is why the reset for the DC universe had to happen. Zaslav is a money guy. He is a bean counter, as so many people in the legacy media out there tried to discredit him. And guess what? There just wasn't the money to be made there. But you can't let go of those characters. You can't let go of Superman and everything else that comes with DC, Batman, and all of that, because those are some of your biggest brand names out there. They are almost guaranteed moneymakers. Now, obviously, there's a great argument to be made that Superman won't make a profit at the box office, but there's also another argument to be made. It's the most money Warner Brothers has made off a movie in a very long time, and definitely looks better at the box office certainly than Joker 2. So at least there's that, at least for that kind of aspect. They're going in the right direction. They're not fixed yet, but needless to say, they are broke, and declining cable subscriptions and everything else is not going to work out in any way, shape, or form. Zaslav, who's overseen aggressive cost cutting since the merger, including layoffs and content cancellations, shout out to Batgirl, described the move as a way to unlock value for shareholders. However, the announcement has also fueled speculation about a deeper cultural and operational shifts, particularly regarding diversity, equity, and inclusion initiatives at both Warner Brothers and Discovery Global. Investigative journalist Jonas J. Campbell of That Park Place shared on X shortly after the split news that he obtained an internal Warner Brothers Discovery employee email listing officers for the post-split Warner Brothers and Discovery Global initiatives. Campbell's thread highlighted a notable absence. No officers with titles related to inclusion, diversity, or equity. Not just all three combined, but none of those. All gone for any executives actually listed as having those new jobs, which means going forward, Warner Brothers and Discovery, neither of which will bow to the woke mob anymore, boys and girls. The spirit of the age is being exercised from Warner Brothers Discovery, and that also means from DC. Boys and girls, if this actually filters down to DC Comics level, there's already a few good DC runs going on right now. It means we could get even more of that, and maybe that whole Ultimate Universe garbage nonsense that we've got going on right now, or not even the Ultimate Universe. I don't remember what they call it, but they're new weird versions of Superman and Batman with some of those kind of woke elements in them. Yeah, those will probably end up being purged as well, because I don't think they're going to sell long term anyway. But needless to say, this could see a bright new day for DC fans overall as a whole. Is it going to take a while to actually get better? Yes, but this is a step in the right direction. Boys and girls, that light at the end of the tunnel is not an oncoming train. It might actually be the exorcism that at least Warner Brothers and DC needed. Jonas says, I got a hold of Warner Brothers and Discovery's global employee email listing out of officers for both companies. No mention on that list of inclusion or diversity officers. What do you make of that? So the list of Warner Brothers included Pan Abdi, co-chair and CEO, Warner Brothers Motion Picture Group. Okay, so that looks like who's going to be in charge of that now as well. Prior chief legal officer, right? We don't need to go through all their names. Chairman and CEO, HBO Max Content. Chief operating officer, co-chair, CEO, Warner Brothers Motion Picture Group. Chairman and CEO, Warner Brothers TV. Chief communications and public affairs officer, the person who's going to deal with the media. Co-chairman and CEO, DC Studios, James Gunn. Chief accounting officer, reporting to the CFO. CEO and president of streaming and games. Co-chairman and CEO of DC Studios. Chief technology officer, reporting to JB Barrett. Notice gone is the Warner Brothers executive for diversity, inclusion, and equity. That officer is gone. That office has now been closed and will not be filled by anyone else. Warner Brothers has had their woke exorcism. Discovery, same thing. David Duvall, chief technology, chief people and culture officer. Now that could be for some of those people out there, the doubting Thomases of the world out there, which I don't blame you. I have very often been a doubting Thomas in my life. One of them situations where this could be the new version of that. But if this was actually woke, changing forms and trying to continue to keep its hold on Discovery and Warner Brothers, why do we not see that same executive office in Warner Brothers? We don't. It's missing. Ryan Gould, president of U.S. Ad Sales, chief development officer, president and MD Poland and CEO. TVN, president international, president distribution, executive vice president, content strategy deciders, chief accounting officer, chairman and CEO, chief legal officer, president, U.S. ad sales, monetization, president, U.S., UK, Germany, Discovery, and chief content officer. Once again, no diversity, no inclusion, no equity. We've got culture, but not diversity, inclusion, or equity. And honestly, being a little bit more respectful and actually knowledgeable of other people's cultures would probably be a good idea versus literally just hiring people because of their skin tone and their background, and that be your excuse to go, look, we're so culturally sensitive. We hired a bunch of people based on their skin tone. Yay! That's not racist at all. Campbell noted that Warner Brothers is still seeking a CFO and chief people and cultural officer, but emphasized the lack of any DEI-specific roles for either company. This revelation aligns with a broader trends in Hollywood and corporate America, where companies have been scaling back or rebranding DEI programs under political and economic pressures. And besides all of the political stuff out there, I know there's people out there that have said, do you think these companies would be doing this if Biden had won the presidency? Yes. Yes, I do think they would have. Do I think it would have been to the extent and as public as what we're seeing now under Trump? No. I think it would have been as quiet as the alleged firing and purging of all of the activist producers and executives from Marvel that we heard about last year, right? What I do think is financially, this was unsustainable going forward. No matter who got elected, no matter who became CEO of these companies, outside of a few very examples of the most extreme activists out there, these companies were going to have to change their ways because they could not make money on this stuff, right? Warner Brothers lost billions of dollars on all of the woke DC stuff that they put out. Marvel, billions of dollars on the new Wham and Power MCU. Star Wars, a now dead brand, $30 billion lost on trying to turn Star Wars into a girls brand, right? Disney, LGBTQ propaganda and all the kids shows and all the movies out there, billions of dollars lost. Had to purge all of that kind of stuff. Had former Pixar employees crying to IGN that Disney told them they couldn't put gay stuff in kids' movies anymore because it doesn't sell at the box office, right? Financially, this was unsustainable. They had to do this at some point. Trump being in office just made it easier for them to do it publicly, but this had to happen. The question of whether the newly separated Warner Bros. And Discovery Global are ditching DEI is timely, given the company's history and recent actions. Warner Bros. Discovery has indeed moved away from the explicit DEI frameworks, a process that accelerated early in 2025 following Trump's administration crackdown on federal DEI policies. In February, Warner Bros. Discovery announced it was renaming its DEI group to focus on inclusion and dropping the reference to diversity and inclusion in internal policies and communication. A staff memo from head of HR, Jennifer Rimling, stated that this change better aligns our language with our focuses throughout our company, while reaffirming a commitment to an inclusive team. The company also ceased participating in third-party workplace diversity surveys and eliminated DEI-related hiring quotas, including questions about applicants' race, gender, or ethnicity in many roles. This is something we saw. This is something we've talked about. This is something that has happened all over the place. We talked about Paramount. We've talked about the late-night woke purge. We've talked about the late-night failed woke protest out there. All of these kind of things have been going on out there. We went over all the Disney stuff that's been going on. All of this stuff has absolutely been going on. Obviously, the woke collapse at Disney. We just talked about all of that kind of stuff. PBS has now had all this fundraising collapse. All of that stuff. PBS, Disney, Goldman Sachs, all ditch DEI. This is something that is going on. And it would not have happened if it wasn't for all of the fans, all of the audiences, all of the paying customers out there going, F you, no, we don't want this garbage anymore. We're not going to show up to your movies just because you slap a Marvel label on it or because you slap a DC label on it or you happen to label it the Joker. We're simply not going to do it. It's the same thing. Just because there's a Pixar label on it does not mean families are going to show up to things. Inside Out 2 was an established brand that a lot of people really enjoyed. But you know what wasn't? Elemental. Lost massive amount of money. I don't even remember what that last one, what Elio that they just released as well? Another massive flop. This could also reflect cost saving, legal risks from anti-DEI lawsuits, or alignment with shifting political winds. Trends have led to over 2,600 diversity, inclusion, and equity job eliminations industry-wide since 2023. For Warner Bros. And Discovery Global, that split may herald a leaner, less ideological charged era, but only time will tell if this reveals to translates to a creative or financial revival. Financial revival? Absolutely. There is a lot of fans out there that, as long as it's not filled with identity politics stuff, will show up to it and watch it, right? There's a lot of hardcore DC fans. I'm a DC fanboy. I've never hidden that. The early numbers for Fantastic Four show that there's still a lot of hardcore Marvel fans out there that will show up to something, especially if it's not filled with diversity, inclusion, and equity stuff on the surface level. I would argue that the marketing is very much wham and power, but nonetheless, it didn't have bad early numbers. Obviously, it flopped miserably later on and will end up losing the company money, just showing that Marvel burnout is real. But needless to say, if you abandon this kind of nonsense, Pixar's Inside Out 2 proves it. Deadpool and Wolverine proves it. You could argue that even Superman proves it, that when you ditch the woke agenda, you will indeed end up making money. Sure as hell, more money than you've made on things like Birds of the Prey, Joker, the Eternals, or the Marvels, right? You ditch this nonsense and fans are willing to at least give you a chance. But like we've said with Disney, Marvel, Star Wars, and everything else. Now, obviously, Star Wars, as long as Kathleen Kennedy is there, you're still going to have all of that propaganda going forward, and that's never really going to change. But outside of that, there's a lot of places out there that purge a lot of this nonsense. And even from what I've heard from some of the stuff that's been told to Kathleen Kennedy is you need to go back to the characters that actually work and make money and not all this stuff like the Acolyte and the when, the power of one, the power of two, the power of many. Guess what? That 3 is about all that showed up to watch those series, which is why you've lost billions of dollars. But with Pixar, it'll show you that families are still willing to give you a shot if you, with an established narrative and established characters they know and loved, as long as you not have a bunch of woke stuff in it. Superman shows you that fans are still willing to give you a shot and to see what you're going to pull off with a new, fresh reboot out there. So yes, diversity, inclusion, and equity, the woke agenda is getting purged from Warner Bros. Discovery. And honestly, it's the best thing for them. And David Zaslav knows this. He knows that woke doesn't sell. He knows that go woke, go broke is absolutely true. And the financials of Warner Bros. Discovery, Disney, Marvel, Star Wars, and all of the rest of the Hollywood prove this to be true. So yes, it is the right move. Yes, diversity, inclusion, and equity programs are being purged inside of Warner Brothers Discovery. And ladies and gentlemen, as a fan of a lot of the IPs that Warner Brothers owns, especially DC, this makes me very happy. And for all of the whining, crying, possessed by the spirit of the age activists out there, please, for the love of heaven, cry and whine some more, because your tears only fuel our fire and get our machines and engines lubed up and ready to go, because it's a beautiful, wonderful thing to see. And ladies and gentlemen, woke is dying. And Warner Brothers Discovery, under David Zaslav's intelligent, smart, and wise stewardship, has purged it from their very ranks. You will see no more woke at Warner Brothers or Discovery. And at the end of the day, boys and girls, that's because fans have decided, and they don't want your woke garbage no more. And there's one more company exercising the evil spirit of the age that has destroyed its company. You have no power here anymore.